Hey everyone, it's Phil K here for Night Owl Films. Welcome, thanks for tuning in. I want to talk about unpaid work and why I don't really agree with it, and why a lot of people don't agree with it. When you start doing unpaid work, it sends you into a vicious cycle of you will be expected to do it, to continue it, and when you turn down unpaid work, eventually you start getting the entitled attitude of people that you're ungrateful, you're selfish, you don't want to help out unless it's paid. And I want to sort of give a bit of advice on how to handle it, because I have come across quite a few casting calls and crew calls that are completely unpaid, not even food or drink expenses have been covered. And there's often this argument, this myth that, oh well, it's experience, it's for your portfolio. Yeah, there's no denying that. But when it comes to paying your bills and you're constantly being expected and wanted for unpaid work, it can have its toll on your mental health, and it can get to a point where you think, you know what, I've had the experience, I now need to start paying the bills, and this work being unpaid isn't going to achieve that, so I need to possibly look at other roads to go down. But ultimately, with unpaid work, this is a bit hard to explain until you actually experience it. So yes, unpaid work is experience, you will learn. However, with unpaid work, the legal responsibility and the health and safety and whatnot, it's not as present as it would be with paid work. What do I mean by that? So if you're going to go and work on a non-student project, but it's incredibly low budget, you're not getting paid for it, it's just basic travel expenses, 9 times out of 10, an actual employer will not recognize that as work in the sense that you will see it as, because paid work, when it's contracted or written like proper paid work, you're expected to deliver within deadlines. You sign on to say, this is a service that I will deliver, and this is the deadline I will deliver it by, and that's my fee. With unpaid work, it's very much, there is no sort of rules, it's just guidelines, because you're not getting paid for it. So legally, there is no obligation to stick to the law, so to speak. And it's not so much about that though, but more of people take advantage and they will exploit you. And when I started doing it, as I say, I started in secondary school and I continued doing volunteer work through college, university, when I finished uni. And then when I started getting told to charge before it was too late, I tried to. And a lot of people came back to me and they were like, well, why are you charging? You've never done this before. And I don't want to say they're going to manipulate you, but they will try and push it out of you, oh, come on, just this one last one. And before you know it, you've done several months or even years of unpaid work. You've got a portfolio, but when you actually go for work that is actual professionally paid, they're not going to look at your show reel and look at the student films and think, oh, you can act in there. Student films and low budget films, short films, they're never looked at in the same light, because the obligation of the contract is not always there. And because of that, employers don't sort of recognize it in the way professionally paid work would be recognized. That's why I'm saying to people, you've got to be careful. I have seen a lot of casting calls this week where it's completely unpaid, and the first excuse is, well, it's a student project. I don't know what they are teaching in universities at the moment, or even colleges, but when you are in uni, student or not, it is mandatory, it's a basic minimum expectation that you will cover travel and food expenses. Now, obviously that's within reason. I'm not saying go and fork out £20 on 3 taxis, but pay for train costs or bus fares. If people aren't prepared to pay for those things, they're not worth your time, I don't think, because why should you pay money getting from A to B to help someone else make their project a reality when it's their project? Yeah, you'll get a part in it, it'll be for your show reel, but ultimately it's going to benefit them more in the long run because they've got the film, they've got the project. You've only got a part within it because they've used you. And a lot of people also post in, you'll get IMDb credits, you get to work with loads of professionals that have been nominated. Yeah, it sounds fancy having an IMDb credit. Does it really get noticed on student films? No. Short films, it's there for research, but apart from that, it's not a certified label or a stamp or a mark on your work. It's just you've got an IMDb account, they're easy to get. But that sale pitch within the posts, or you'll get this credit and you'll get that credit, will it pay the bill? Will it help you in 5 years time from now? Will it help you in 2 years time from now? Will it help you at all? Yeah, might be good practice, good rehearsal, good experience to network and meet other people, see if there's any opportunities, but putting that to the side, is it actually going to benefit you long term? That's what you need to ask yourselves. I come across, I say, the ones where you'll get to work with such and such because they've been nominated for this or nominated for that. They do that to try and create the hype. I'll give you a very quick example. So if there was, I know he's dead now, but if there was a casting or a crew call put out to work with Wes Craven, and it was, I don't know, director's assistant or whatever, I would put my name forward for that, knowing working with Wes Craven would be a unique and a rare lifetime opportunity of an experience, because working with a director with a proven track record like that, you can't argue with it. Whereas when you've got someone posting saying you're going to work with this director who's worked on this, and you actually follow up and you do your research and you look at this short film or this feature-length film or whatever, 9 times out of 10, no one's heard of them, or it'll be one of those where it was hyped up for a particular reason, but the film itself hasn't really landed on its feet and it never got picked up by anyone. But they'll say, because this director directed it and it was hyped up at the time, oh, you're going to be working with this director or this producer. They do that to try and entice you to think, oh, I'm going to get to rub shoulders with someone who I can learn from. You do learn from them, but it's not in the way you would be told it will be. So a very quick example, there was a casting call ages ago that I came across where these actors were going to work with a horror film director that had apparently been nominated all over the world in these short film festivals. When I actually did some digging, I have never heard of this film director, never heard of his films, and after a while I clocked on, it was one of those filmmakers where they just, throw little short horror films out every few months, don't pay people, and because they are doing that and there's people involved in it, they try and get you involved in their crowd and their cliquey group, and by doing that they try and make this director individual of some sort of importance, and the reality is that director will be no further ahead in the game than the next casting call that gets put out for actors. And that's why I say to people, don't be fooled, don't have the wool pulled over your eyes. Research who the directors and producers are, or the writers. Research, what they have actually done, not what they've told you they've done, but what they have actually done. There's a big difference. I've come across that many people who will exaggerate what they've done, and when you actually look at what they've done and you put it to them, it's like, well, you didn't tell me you hadn't done that, you didn't tell me about this, you didn't tell me about that. And they go, well, you either want the opportunity or you don't. It's like, well, I don't want the opportunity because you've made it out to be something it wasn't. And as many of you know, we're in a cost of living crisis, and a lot of actors say on social media and in general, what does it take to get to the point where you can start charging for people? And my answer to that is this: there is no correct answer, but know your confidence, know your worth. Very quick example, Nev Campbell, she walked away from the Scream negotiations because that franchise has brought in hundreds of millions of dollars. There is no argument about that. That is fact. And she was the leading character. Well, she is the leading character. And a lot of people have said, but she's had less screen time, so she deserves less. From day one up until the fourth film, she has been in every single film. She has carried that film, that franchise. She has brought in the audience. She has brought in the money. And now she knows her worth. So when she is given a pay offer that she knows is underneath what she is worth, she has refused it. People kicked off saying she's greedy on this and that and the other. There will be actors watching this video who, some of you will make it, some of you won't, for whatever reason. It's never always your fault. Sometimes it's just the way it is. But what I will say to a lot of you is this: there will come a point in your life, it might be in 5, 10, 15 years time, when you are known, you are recognised as a talent, as, you know, someone who can bring in the box office revenue, someone who can pull in the TV audiences, someone who is well liked, someone who people go out of their way to watch. When you get to that moment in your life, that rite of passage, I'll call it, you then can say, right, I know I'm worth this, I know I can bring this in, therefore I'm going to start charging this. When that happens, it's a really cool moment. Until then, though, it's about, you know, hustle, compromise, negotiate. If you constantly take free work or unpaid work, you will be expected to do that long term. I got stuck in that pattern, and it was horrible to get out of it. And eventually I did. Now I won't do unpaid work unless I know it truly will benefit me and other people. And I know times are desperate out there. People will do anything to get the experience. And I will say to those people, yeah, get as much experience as you can, build your portfolio. Don't let people take advantage of you or exploit you or take the mick. They will do it. I have seen it happen countless times. They will not self-fund. They don't want to self-fund half the time. A lot of people today seem to think it's acceptable to expect other people to come on board a project without paying a single penny. And if you don't want to get involved, or well, you're selfish, you're ungrateful, those people are not worth your time. Trust me. Find people who will pay for your projects and your time. Now, obviously students, that's a different story, but I have met some students out there who they genuinely believe they shouldn't have to pay a single penny because they are students. No, students, I don't care what you're taught by the universities or the colleges even, bare minimum is basic travel expenses and food expenses. That's a bare minimum. If you're not a student though, self-fund or find funding, crowdfund. There is no excuse for it anymore. If you are that passionate about this art and craft, you will find a way to do it. You will commit yourself, you will dedicate yourself. If it means obviously rebudgeting, so be it. Why should other people have to spend their life money helping you guys out because you don't want to pay? That's why I'm saying to people out there who do accept unpaid work, obviously if you want to do it, that is your choice. But ultimately, if you've got bills to pay, in the long run, don't start complaining about that, because you have accepted to do unpaid work, which may have, you know, your bank account might be a bit lower now than it should be. You chose to do unpaid work. And that's why I say to a lot of people out there, as much as it might look like an opportunity, don't do it to the extent where your bank account's gone dry and you're struggling, and then you're the individuals who are going out saying, you know, can everyone please help me? As much as it's enticing to work on a project thinking you're going to get credits, a show reel, portfolio, IMBD credits, down the line, if you're going to spend money for taxis and train fares out of your own pocket, that's going to affect your budget, especially if you haven't got much paid work coming in at all. And that's why I say to a lot of people, you know, just be careful. You know, obviously if you want to do unpaid work, that is your choice, but it does have its consequences. I learned the hard way. I volunteered for that many years that when I did start asking for a fee, it was thrown back in my face. And that's when I realised, you know what, there's too many people out there who just want people to work for free. And if you don't accept that, oh well, you don't really want to learn, you don't really want to do this, you're just doing it for the money. We live in a world where you have to get by on some sort of income, and actors, this is your income. Now, I know there's different rates for different things, but ultimately, if you're gonna survive in this industry, you're gonna have to start charging, and that'll either lead to you sinking or swimming. Because ultimately, whilst the portfolio might look super cool, it's not going to help your bank balance if you're constantly doing it just for the purpose of improving your show reel. And that's why I say to a lot of people, yeah, you know, look after yourself, make sure your bank balance within reason, it's healthy, you can survive off it. But if you have seen a casting call, whether it be for an actor or for a behind the scenes crew member, don't put yourself out there to the point where you're blinding yourself with excitement that you're going to have nothing left at the end of the month and you're going to be struggling. I have been in that situation. It's not nice. And when you do apply for jobs, make sure it's in black and white writing, get it written up in a contract if you can, but just don't let people walk all over you like doormats. It's happening more and more recently. People like myself, when I speak up about it, we are getting attacked and trolled on social media, on Facebook. And I just say back to those people, you know what? You do unfair practice all you want. I'm going to be the voice for the opposing side. On that note, thank you very much again for tuning in, guys. Do take it easy. Have confidence in yourself. Ask for what you know you are worth. And obviously, keep making films. Cheers again.